the Brooklyn Nets have pretty much decided that DeAndre Jordan is their starting center going forward, and it's resulted in Jarrett Allen coming off the bench. Does this make Jarrett Allen a potential trade option for teams across the league? And if so, with his value being diminished a little bit, does Detroit take a look at bringing Jarrett Allen to town? Now, of course, Christian Wood has been playing great basketball lately. I mean, seriously, he's been playing really good basketball, scoring the ball, rebounding the ball, stepping up to the plate while given the opportunity. But does that mean Detroit does not do their due diligence and try to put together a package to bring Jarrett Allen to Detroit? Does that mean we officially move on from Christian Wood? Can the two coexist?
Look, I think the Pistons would be dumb not to look at trying to get Jarrett Allen. I mean, this is a guy that would absolutely fit their timeline at just 21 years of age. He's 6'11" with a 7'6" wingspan, and he's being cast out by the Brooklyn Nets right now in a kind of pathetic move by the franchise after firing Kenny Atkinson. Don't tell me it's not because of the thought process of Kyrie Irving and maybe even Kevin Durant, even though Durant at the press conference when he was introduced by the Brooklyn Nets said that he was a big fan of Kenny Atkinson. But this is a move by the Brooklyn Nets franchise to coddle their stars and let the stars run the show. It's as simple as that. This is what the decision is, and Jarrett Allen is one of those guys that isn't favored by Kyrie Irving. Kyrie was talking about early in the year the young core that the Brooklyn Nets have. He talked about Spencer Dinwiddie. He talked about some of the other guys on their roster, Karis LeVert, another name, but he specifically left out Jarrett Allen, who has a ton of promise and isn't a guy that's going to go put up ginormous numbers, but a very good rim protector. He's averaged nearly a double-double this season at 11 points and 9.5 rebounds per game. He averages over an assist per game, over a block per game. Very efficient shooter from the field, even though he doesn't spread the floor or anything. He's a rim runner, a pick-and-roll guy in that regard. But a guy that played under 26 minutes and had that production at 21 years of age in his third season is being cast away and is now being moved to the bench in favor of 30-plus-year-old DeAndre Jordan, who's on the back legs of his career, has not been very good for the past couple years now maybe, and has no business playing over Jarrett Allen. Remember, and we said this last week on the podcast, the only reason that DeAndre Jordan is on the Brooklyn Nets is because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant required him to be part of any free agent signing. They said, we'll come to Brooklyn, we're bringing DeAndre Jordan with us. And DeAndre Jordan got a pretty large contract at $10 million per year for 4 years to come along and come off the bench. I mean, I guess he's starting now, but you signed a bench player a center nonetheless. Not a very important position in today's NBA, especially backup-wise. And you sign him for $10 million a year. What Brooklyn is doing is mind-boggling after so many great decisions by Sean Marks and the head coaching position of Kenny Atkinson. Those two guys were such good hirings initially, and everything looked promising. And now, after a season where their two best players have been out, they decide to move on from the head coach, and now they're benching their young center prospect. But the Pistons would be smart to go after Jarrett Allen. Some view Christian Wood as a power forward. I view Wood as a guy that can play the 4 and the 5. But the problem is you have Sekou Doumbouya. He's been playing a lot of minutes at the 4. Now I think if you're able to get Jarrett Allen, you develop Sekou more so as a 3, which he can play. You let Christian Wood play a power forward, and then you have Jarrett Allen. And that's very, very intriguing. It's interesting. It has a lot of exciting potential, and you go from there. I mean, obviously you have some other spots on the roster, Bruce Brown, Luke Kennard, your first-round draft pick, whatever it may be. But Jarrett Allen being an addition to this team that's entering a rebuild would be really, really interesting. And it's something that, well, you kept Derrick Rose around Brooklyn, obviously, they're leaning on veterans, and they want to build a veteran team. I'm sure that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant would welcome a guy like Derrick Rose. And maybe that's a trade chip that you have, so that in the summer, say, look, Jarrett Allen isn't part of your core. You're looking to add another veteran that can provide value for you. We have Derrick Rose. Let's begin discussions and see where it goes. I think that's worthwhile.
100%, Aaron. You have to do your due diligence if you're Ed Stefanski and his team. You have to. Brooklyn, like you said, I don't know what's going on there. Years of building a culture, building a young core, only to really throw it all away. Mm-hmm. I get it's Kevin Durant, I get it, and it's Kyrie Irving, I get it, but all that building to just give up on it and hand the keys over to the players, it's an interesting way to go about business. It's especially when you've invested so much time and effort into it.
Right. It's a move to want to win, and when you have a guy like Kevin Durant in town, I think you have to oblige.
You know, the thing is, I think it's more so Kyrie Irving. It's not a secret that every franchise Kyrie Irving goes through dissension. Cleveland, a lot of problems there. I mean, obviously, he demanded a trade out of Cleveland after winning
Does he want to reunite with
playing
Ty
with
Lue?
LeBron James.
Does he want to reunite with Ty Lue, though?
He goes to Boston. Dissension. They
I wasn't
struggle.
kidding about that.
Oh, well, I think I've already seen that circulating on Twitter, is that he wants Ty Lue to become the next head coach in Brooklyn. But, I mean, wherever he goes, there's dissension. There's issues. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's because Kyrie Irving, for as talented of a player as he is, and as smart of a person as he is also a head case. And he brings those issues to the forefront in situations like this. Mm-hmm. And again, this was all foreshadowed earlier in the season when Irving went out and named members of the Nets' young core and left out Jarrett Allen. You know, this was already foreshadowed to us. And for the Pistons, this is where they have to look to capitalize on a franchise stuck at the reins of their superstars and pounce and bring in, again, a 21-year-old center that produces as a defensive anchor and fits with your team in the long run.
Right.
I honestly love Jarrett Allen. I am a huge fan of Jarrett Allen. And that is, the Pistons have to do their due diligence on this. Aaron, great point with the Derrick Rose trade chip piece. I think that's very enticing to a team that's looking to win now with veterans, with their stars kind of calling the shots.
Yep.
That's a great backup point guard for them to have.
And a guy that, when you talk about having a guy like Derrick Rose, he's just another guy that might be able to help recruit some free agents, some mid-tier guys that could help them win to Brooklyn to put them over the top. It's a win-win for both teams.
It's both teams are put in the position they want to be in. The Pistons growing for the long term, the Nets winning now. It makes sense.
Does Christian Wood immediately become not an option, though, if we go get Jarrett Allen? Can the two coexist? Would Christian Wood re-sign in Detroit?
I honestly don't see why not. I agree with Aaron. I think Christian Wood is a 4 and a 5. So him moving and playing stretch 4 isn't some big issue to me. Right. I think he fits in there very well.
So then you look at the roster, though, of next year you still have Blake Griffin. And what do you do with Sekou Doumbouya? Are you moving Sekou to the 3? Is that where he's staying? Are we developing him at the 3? Like, does he play the 3 and the 4? Do you have to just get flexible with your lineups?
I think either way, and it's been needed this year. Sekou needs to be playing minutes at the 3 either way.
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of talked about, a lot of people view Christian Wood as strictly a 4. I don't. I think, given time, Wood has gotten better at playing the 5. And I think we've actually seen a lot of growth in the recent weeks with him playing center.
And I'm still a fan of small ball. I'm still a fan of the small ball and running him as a small ball 5. The guy could shoot. He could still rebound the basketball. I get
it's more so, can he anchor a defense?
Right, and that's the thing.
I get that, but again, he's getting better. And you have Blake Griffin anyway. Are you going to bench Blake Griffin for Sekou Doumbouya at the 4 spot? If anything, if this franchise has told us anything, it is said that they're committed to the veterans, which is why I'm not even, I don't even think it's a possibility that the Pistons will trade Derrick Rose right now. Just the way that they continue to talk about him. But it's something that they should do. But you go in to the offseason, you're able to get Jarrett Allen, and obviously you still have Blake Griffin. So Blake Griffin is probably your starting four come next season. But you can then either start Christian Wood and bring Jarrett Allen off the bench, or, and again, this is something we mentioned last week, you're probably looking to trade Blake Griffin either way.
I was going to say, are we sure Blake Griffin is here to begin the season?
Can I be honest? And that's the thing that's so disappointing. Like, Blake Griffin is really just kind of like, I don't know, it'd be like a nuisance to have him. It's like you need him to go. And that's so unfair to Blake because Blake still did some tremendous things in Detroit. And I don't want that to get overlooked. I don't want that to get forgotten.
And if nothing else, he was a great sport about everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
He still is it.
He still is.
He's still at the games, communicating,
a great sport, just a great teammate and a great person about all of it.
But it's just not meant to be in Detroit.
It's just not where it's not where it was at the beginning of the year where hey, we think we can put something together to win. That's just not the goal anymore.
Right.
And Blake Griffin is part of a team that's looking for that.
Right.
Not part of a team that's looking 3-4 years down the road.
And I know, Aaron, you've talked about Blake being the quote unquote Kevin Love of the rebuild, but the problem is Detroit has guys that can be playing those minutes. Cleveland's got a lot of young guards. Their guards are getting better, playing a lot of minutes. Detroit has, between Christian Wood and Sekou, and even if you're still trying to give a guy like Thon an opportunity, right? And Dante Hall.
If you were able to go get a Jarrett Allen,
right?
But you've got that logjam there.
You've got post players that need the minutes. You don't have, 30. What's he gonna? If he comes back, it starts next year. What's he go to 32 minutes a night, 33 minutes a night? Is probably what he's playing. Blake
27.
It's like, well, do they try to stretch him to 32, 33? Are they trying to win? Like, you don't even have 27 minutes available.
I know.
And that's not because Blake shouldn't get those minutes. It's just that it's just not what's best for the organization. And sometimes, even if that's what it takes, it's what's best for the Pistons. We cannot let Blake Griffin... Blake Griffin's not been a Piston long enough and done enough great things in his tenure in Detroit where you can let him ride out. Like, you follow baseball, right? If you follow Detroit baseball, you look at a guy like Miguel Cabrera, right? Cabrera past his prime. Now, will he have a better year this year, down 25 pounds and looking like he might be able to run to first base again? We'll see. But the point is, that's a guy that's going to ride out his contract in Detroit, and he's a Detroit guy. Like, you're not going to trade Miguel Cabrera. Even if somebody wanted him, I would be opposed to it. I think he's a Tiger for life, right? He came here after from that Marlins trade, and you don't lose him. He rides it out because he's the Triple Crown. He's the guy that's gotten to the World Series. He's the MVP face of the Detroit Tigers, right? Through the good and the bad. Blake was good for 1 year here. And that's not to sound like a jerk, but he had one real season. Blake's not a lifetime Piston. He'll be remembered as a Clipper anyways. He'll be remembered for his early years in the Clippers. Put him in an organization that he can go win. Or even if it's another middle-of-the-road organization that wants to take a chance on him and sees him as an opportunity to help them step forward. It's just not for a team that's trending towards a top 3 pick in the NBA draft.
I still think a team like Portland may get desperate enough this offseason to trade for Griffin. But back to the main point of where I was trying to go is you go into next season with Jarrett Allen on your roster. You have Christian Wood. I'd assume you still have Blake Griffin because I don't know if a team is taking on Griffin in his contract in the offseason, considering the level of play he played at this year and the injury he's had. And then you have Sekou, and it's a logjam, no doubt about it. But again, the goal would be to trade Blake Griffin, and maybe Jarrett Allen has to come off the bench, or Christian Wood has to come off the bench for the first, until December 15th when everyone becomes trade eligible. And that kind of sucks. But if you're thinking long term, then you got to do it. You know, if you're thinking long term.
Right. Because the other thing that comes into play here, if Blake Griffin's still on the roster and he's playing anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes a night, you know Dwayne Casey's going to run that offense centered around giving the ball to Blake, running those ISOs, post-ups in the short corner, Blake go to work.
Well, the thing is,
still going to make Blake the main
centerpiece
of the offense?
You know he's going to. We know he's going to. That's the other problem.
in the most ideal situation, Blake Griffin's starting and playing 25 minutes per game, max, which then allows Jarrett Allen and Christian Wood to both play around 30 minutes per game.
Right.
And then Seku's getting pretty much all of his minutes at the three spot, maybe he's getting a few at the 4 spot. And then your guard situation is Luke Kennard, Bruce Brown, fingers crossed. It's your weekly Killian Hayes mention. And then you have, whatever else. But your core is out there. And in that scenario, your core's getting a lot of minutes.
Right.
I don't think the Pistons do that, but in an ideal world where I'm running the franchise, that's how my team is being run. Yes, I'm playing Blake Griffin because he's on my roster. And am I going to have some other veterans? Yeah, I mean, Tony Snell's going to be on this team next year. He's going to be in the rotation.
Yep.
He provides some value, and I get that. But I just laid out a blueprint for my two bigs to get about 30 minutes a night. Seku's getting a lot of minutes, and then my guards will have all the time in the world on the court. Even if Killian Hayes is who the Pistons draft, even if he comes off the bench, he's still going to get a lot of minutes because I have Luke Kennard at the 2 spot. I have Bruce starting at the 1. Well, Bruce can slide over to the 2, and Luke can play some 3, and Killian can be the 1. Killian can play the 2. You have versatility. It's all right out in front of you for this team to kind of mess around with their core, play their young guys, move them at different positions, see where they succeed, see which guys fit together. I mean, but full circle, going back full circle, Jarrett Allen is absolutely a guy that the Pistons should be inquiring about, especially since it seems like this is setting up to where a team is able to nab him for something that isn't of ginormous value to the team sending out said piece or pieces.